Do you find yourself constantly grumbling about your circumstances? If so, stay tuned and I will teach you how to stop complaining and start rejoicing today. What is going on, everyone? We are back for another episode of Prospering with Christ. I hope that you had a wonderful week last week, and I hope that this week will be just as amazing to you as well. So, for today's episode, we are discussing the topic of complaining. I wanted to talk about this today because there are a lot of people who are in bad situations and they feel stuck. They feel like a prisoner to their situation. They feel like, in life we're supposed to grow, we're supposed to move, we're supposed to transition, but they feel like they've been here for years, possibly even decades, or for some people, it may just be months. But you've been in this predicament for a long time, and you feel like no matter how hard you try, things are not getting better for you. No matter how hard you try, you are constantly stuck in this place. You are not moving forward. And this could be very discouraging for you because you're not just a dreamer. You're not the type of person who just sits around and pray and expect things to magically fall in order for you. You get up and you try. You work at things. You try things. You follow God's way. You're obedient to the things that he tells you to do. But even with you getting up and trying, you're still failing. And so it's making you feel discouraged. It's making you feel like maybe you're not meant to do this. It's making you feel like this is not meant to be. But I want to take a moment to remind you that the issue is not that this isn't what God has for you. The problem is that your words are not matching your actions. Your response to the circumstances that are happening in your life is the reason why you are remaining stuck. See, every time that something hits you, every time that something doesn't go your way, you start to complain. You don't speak positively. You don't speak by faith. You speak negatively. You find the bad in the situation. You focus in on the bad in the situation. And because you choose to complain and you choose to focus on the negative parts of the situation, that is the reason why you are remaining stuck. And God is saying to you today, you have everything, but you're lacking on the mouth area. You have the work ethic. You have the faith. You have the dedication. You have the trust in me, but your mouth is playing a factor in why you are not seeing results. And so if you want to get to a point where you are achieving the things that you are praying to God for, you are going to have to stop complaining and you are going to have to change the way that you respond to situations. And I know some people are going to listen to this and they're going to say to themselves, well, it's easier for me to complain than other people because they don't go through the things that I'm going through. They don't have the struggles that I have. But can I be honest with you? There is not one person on this earth who does not struggle. There is not one person on this earth who does not have problems. The most successful people in the world still have issues. See, the difference between them and the difference between you is the response. The way that they respond to their issues and the way that you respond to your issues is the determining factor of if you're going to be successful. It's the determining factor of if you're going to make it through to the other side. You making the decision to complain is the reason why you are failing. I want you to think about it like this. When you make the decision to complain about your situation, it dims the lights. It makes you focus on all the negative things. And as you're focusing on them, it's triggering emotions of anger in you. It's triggering emotions of frustration in you. And what it's doing is it's causing you to mope. It's causing you to feel sorry for yourself. It's causing you to feel angry. And instead of making it out, instead of trying to make it through to the other side, you are sitting here and you are throwing a tantrum. You're so focused on things that don't matter. You're so focused on things that's temporary that you're wasting time by pointing them out and keeping your attention on them that you can't make it to the other side. But see, when you make the decision to not complain, you start to turn the lights on. So there's things about the situation that you didn't see before, but you can see it now. And not only can you see things about the situation, but you start to see how to maneuver through this journey, how to maneuver through this situation and make it to the other side. You're not wasting time focusing on the negative. You're not wasting time trying to understand the situation, because that's another thing that we do. I want you to think about some of the worst things that has happened to you in your life. And I want you to think about how many times you asked yourself, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening in my life? Why me? How many times did you ask yourself that? See, that seems like a reasonable question to ask yourself, but in reality, it's making you into a victim and it's making you stay stuck here, because instead of maneuvering through this situation and making it to the other side, instead of moving on from this situation, you are stuck here and you are trying to figure out why it even happened. Why did I get here? How did I get here? Why did this situation choose me? Why did you choose to come on my journey? It doesn't matter. See, when you're so focused on complaining, you're looking and putting your attention on the negative, or you're trying to understand why this is happening in your life, you are wasting time and you are going to stay stuck here. You have to do the difficult thing. You have to find the good in the situation. You have to speak positive over the situation, because when you do that, you open doors to find a way out. Another reason why complaining keeps us stuck is because I know that we've all heard this Bible verse: life and death is in the power of the tongue. You have the decision to speak life, which is positivity, into your situation, or speak death into your situation. What you speak is what you're going to see. So you cannot be surprised that all you experience is negativity. All you experience is struggle. All you experience is hardships, when all you do is speak negative over your life. You cannot be surprised that the step that God gave you didn't work, when you were speaking that it wasn't going to work before you even took the step. See, when things don't go right in our life, we are so quick to blame God. We say, God, why did you allow this to happen? Why would you give me this step if you weren't going to allow it to work out for my good? But sometimes the reason why we blame God is because it's easier to blame someone else than blame ourselves. It's easier to put the accountability on someone else than to put it on ourselves. But if you really want to see results, and if you really want to change your circumstance, you're going to have to do some self-reflection. You're going to have to put your pride to the side, and you're going to have to admit to your wrongdoings. The way that you are speaking is the reason why you are living the life that you live today. And until you change your speech, your life is going to stay the same. Another reason why complaining is keeping you stuck is because we all know that one of the main ways that you will be blessed is if you show God gratitude. When you show God that you are grateful for things that He's doing in your life, He is going to open doors and do more for you. But complaining is not showing God that you're grateful. Complaining is nagging to God about what He did wrong, about what didn't work, about what He should have did better. And that complaining is keeping you from experiencing the more things that God wants to do in your life. I understand that you may be in a tough situation right now. I understand that there's so many things in your life that may be hitting you and stressing you and making you bitter and miserable. But you have to look past that. As hard as it is, you have to look past that and you have to recognize you have so much to be grateful for. You are breathing, you are living, you are healthy, you can see, you can talk. There may be things deeper than that you can be grateful for in your life. You have so much to thank God for. And every time you complain, you literally are telling God, forget that you did that for me. You ain't do this though. Forget that I'm more blessed than the average person. But you ain't do this though. You ain't help me with this though. You ain't give me what I want. That don't matter. And that's closing you off to the open doors and the blessings that God wants to give you. And so if you really want to get out of this place and stop being stuck, you're going to have to let go of your complaints. Are you enjoying this episode so far? Is this episode teaching you how to let go of your complaints? If so, then I want you to do me two favors. Favor number one, I want you to leave a review. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this episode. Leave an honest review and let me and others know how you are enjoying the show. And favor number two, if you know anyone who has been bitter, they have been frustrated, and they have been speaking very negatively lately, then I want you to send this episode to them. Let this episode motivate and encourage them the same way that it is motivating and encouraging you. Now let's get back to the show. You want to know another reason why you should not complain? Because complaining puts you in a victim mentality. And I know that that may be hard to hear, but I took it upon myself to go Google what a victim mentality is. And this is what it says. A victim mentality is someone who genuinely believes that they are powerless in their own lives. They blame others for any adversities they encounter and feel that no matter what, they will always encounter bad luck. This mindset can be incredibly frustrating for loved ones and negatively impacts someone's day-to-day functioning. That first sentence really hit me. It said, a victim mentality is believing that you are powerless in your situation. Like you're just going to stay here. Like this is going to be your reality. Like this is what you have to settle for. You have to live here. You have to learn how to navigate here. You have to learn how to adapt to here because you're never going to have better than here. You want to know what a victim mentality is? It's when you allow your situation to define who you are. Is when you can't understand that your situation is just an experience. It's just something that you had to experience or go through. It doesn't make you who you are. It doesn't define your identity. And so many of us put our identity into what we go through. We believe because we experience a season of being broke, we are broke. When you say, I'm broke, you're making that experience your identity. You think because you did one thing that somebody didn't like, or you did one thing that hurt somebody's feelings, that you're a bad person. You're making that experience your identity. And I want to be the first one to tell you that your experiences is not supposed to define you. God is not telling you or allowing you to go through this to show you that this is who you are. You are supposed to take these experiences and learn from them so that you can do better in the future. This is not who you are. This is supposed to be teaching you something. And the reason why you are stuck is because you're interpreting the situation wrong. You're allowing this to make you who you are. You're becoming a victim of your circumstance when your circumstance was supposed to be giving you strategy for the next season. Your circumstance was supposed to be helping you grow and become a better person. Become the type of person who can handle the things that you're praying for. Become the type of person who can adapt to the new season that God is trying to take you to. God is not happy with you being stuck. See, you've been looking at God, you've been praying to God, and you've been asking Him, why am I still here? Why did you bring me here? Why didn't you just leave me where I was before? And God is saying, you're not viewing things from my perspective. You think that I brought you here to keep you here, but you're keeping yourself here because you're becoming a victim of your circumstance. I brought you here to help you grow. I brought you here to teach you something. This experience does not feel good, but this experience is going to help you in another season. This experience is going to help you at a later date. But if you would just shift your perspective, then we can move forward. And the reason why you can't move forward is because not only are you becoming a victim of your circumstance, but now you're beginning to develop the symptoms of a victim. What is the symptoms of a victim? The symptoms of a victim is anger, helplessness, bitterness, low self-worth, negative mindsets, and remaining stuck in the past. You feel helpless because you feel powerless. You feel like there's no way out. You feel like I'm just stuck here. You feel like there's nothing else that can be done. And when you feel that way, you're dimming the lights where you cannot navigate through the circumstance. You're dimming the lights where you cannot see the other side, the other door that you need to get out of this circumstance. Your helplessness, the symptom of helplessness is blocking you from moving forward and keeping you stuck here. You feel bitterness. You look at other people who are living the life that you want to live. They're living the life that you're praying to live, and you feel bitter. You feel jealous. You feel envious. And the reason why is because deep down inside, you accepted that that would never be you. If you really believed that you can make it out, if you really believe that you could get to the other side, if you really believe that God will keep his promise to you, you will not look at people who are living the life that you want to live and feel bitter, jealous, or envious of them. So your bitterness is a sign that you are in a victim mentality and you no longer believe that God is going to do what he said he was going to do. And that's also proof that you don't have self-worth. Because not only do you believe that God's not going to do it, but you believe that you're not the type of person who can have that. You're not just envious of what they have. You're envious of the type of person they are. You're envious that they made it through to the other side. You're envious of how strong they are. You're envious of how well they carry themselves in that blessing. And it's not a bad thing on their part. It just shows how much low self-esteem you have in you because you don't believe that you can be that type of person. And it keeps you stuck because this situation that you're in, this circumstance that you're in, God did not intend for it to go on this long. This was supposed to be the past. You were not supposed to be here for 5 years. You were not supposed to be here for 3 months. Right now, God intended for you to be looking back and using that as a testimony to where he brought you from. But you made the decision to stay stuck because you keep choosing to complain instead of speaking positively and speaking life over your situation. But I want to take a moment to speak life into you. This is not the end of your road. God is not done with you. You are not powerless. You are not helpless. If you don't have the strength, or you really believe that you don't have what it takes, then ask God to carry you in this season. Ask Him to let you borrow His power because you can't sustain off your own. There's always another way out. And if you reach that way out, will be determined by how you respond to your circumstances. And complaining should not be in your vocabulary. So you're going to have to learn how to stop complaining. The first way for you to do this is you have to think before you speak. Now, I know we used to learn about this when we were probably in like kindergarten, and you may be thinking this is silly or this is stupid. But sometimes you need to go back to the principles that you would teach a kid. Because remember, the Bible says, have childlike faith. So in order for you to have childlike faith, you're supposed to do the things that children do. You're supposed to do the things that we teach children to do. And when we were in school, we always told children, think before you speak. Don't just say the first thing that comes out of your mouth. Think about it and determine if that's something that you should say. So every time that you have a thought or you're about to say something, take 1 second and ask yourself, is that positive or is that negative? And if it's positive, say it. If it's negative, don't say it. But instead, say the opposite, because the opposite is a positive statement. So you want to train your mind to only say positive things. So don't just not say it and don't say anything at all. Don't say it, but say the opposite. So when that thought says I'm broke, you say, wait, no, I'm rich or I'm wealthy. When that thought says I'm not good enough, you say, no, I'm more than enough. When that thought says you'll never be a mother, you say, I'm a great mother. You say the opposite of that negative thought, and you're training your mind to stop complaining and speak more positively. Have you ever dreamed of making your voice heard and sharing your message with the world? Well, it's time to turn that dream into a reality by starting your very own podcast. I understand that many aspiring podcasters are held back by the worries of cost, complexity, and the time it takes to launch a podcast. That is why I'm excited to announce my new training program that has all the tools and knowledge you need to launch your very own podcast for free. My training will guide you through every single step of your podcast journey. You will learn how to plan, release, market, and grow your podcast from start to finish. So if you're ready to take a leap of faith and share your message with the world, click the link in the description below to access my new podcast training. Now let's get back to the show. The next thing that you want to do is you want to intentionally study the Bible. I want you to find circumstances that's similar to yours, or if you can't find one that's similar to yours, just find circumstances in the Bible. And I want you to pay attention to how God spoke and how godly people spoke over those situations. What were the type of things that came out of their mouths? What were the type of things that God would say to those people? And if you come across some stories where they started off speaking negatively, like maybe the godly person didn't say something positive, then I want you to pay attention and ask yourself, how did God correct them? What did He tell them to do instead of saying what they said originally? And when you study, write those things down and start to mirror them, because that's showing you the type of language that you need to be speaking, the type of things that needs to be coming out of your mouth. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to study stories of people who have been in similar situations that you're in. And I'm not saying people in the Bible, I mean people here on earth, or maybe they're not on earth anymore, but maybe you come across an old video from them or a book that they wrote, and they're sharing a story that's very similar to the story that you are going through. See, the reason why you want to do this is because it's going to help you build up your faith. For you to see, wow, they're similar to me. They went through a similar situation as me and they made it out to the other side. That's going to give you hope. It's going to help you believe that if God could bring them out, he will bring you out as well. And not only do you want to focus on, them making it out, but you also want to focus on how, because there might be things that they did that can help you. There might be things that they did that God can use to help bring you out of this circumstance. So use that to build your faith. And the next thing that you want to do is you want to find things to be grateful for. Like I said earlier, yes, there's a lot of bad things that may be happening in your life, but there's always something underneath the surface. There's always something that we're overlooking that we should be grateful for. There are so many people who died today, and you are still here. There are so many people who are in tough situations and they're stuck. They feel like a victim. They feel hopeless, but they haven't came across a message like this that will help them regain their hope, trust God, and make it to the other side. That's something for you to be grateful for, that God loved you so much that he allowed you to come across this message. God loved you so much that he aligned you to this video or to this podcast episode so that you can learn this. This isn't me telling you this. This was God divinely sending you here because he wants you to get out of this season. He wants you to get out of this circumstance. He wants you to believe in yourself again. That is something that you should be grateful for. It doesn't matter how small it looks. It may not be as big as what you're praying for or the breakthrough that you want to receive, but it's amazing and it's something that you should show gratitude to God about. And I want you to understand that this is just the beginning. And so if you're the type of person where you're kind of questioning, okay, well, this is helping me feel hopeful again, but I still don't know what to do to navigate and make it through to my breakthrough. I'm going to be launching a book very soon called Dreaming to Achieving. And the purpose of this book is it's taking you step by step with God's help to achieve your goal. You're going to learn how to strategically plan. You're going to learn how to overcome obstacles and hardships. You're going to learn how to make sure everything that you're doing is productive and pushing you forward. And you're doing all of this with the help of God. And not only are you reading about it, but in the book is going to be worksheets where you can do it as you read. You're not just getting the information, you're getting the information and then you're taking the step with God's help to ensure that you make it through to your breakthrough and make it through to the things that God promised you. And so make sure that you stay on the lookout for that. I might create a wait list actually where you can join the wait list, and when the book launches or when it's about to launch, I'll send you an email so that you can be one of the first ones notified. But remember, your response matters. And that is the very reason why you have to stop complaining. When you complain, it keeps you stuck. It determines the outcome that you're going to see. And it shows God that you are ungrateful. Complaining keeps you in a victim mentality. It makes you feel sorry for yourself and makes you feel like you're powerless. It puts you in a state where you're allowing the situation to define you instead of realizing that it's just an experience that you have to go through to learn and grow. And it makes you develop victim mentality symptoms, which makes it harder for you to make it through to the other side. And so for you to stop complaining, you have to think before you speak. Read your Bible and study how God responds to situations, how godly people respond to situations, and if they responded negatively, how God corrected them and what he said to them. Look up stories of people who've been through similar situations as yours and made it out, and find things to be grateful for. So, my action step for you this week, I'm actually going to challenge you because I want you to do it more than just one time. I want you to do it all throughout the week. Every single time that you're about to say something, I want you to think before you speak. Ask yourself, is what I'm about to say positive or negative? And if it's negative, speak the opposite of that negative thought. But that is all that I have for you today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe so that you get a notification every time a new episode is released. Also, leave a review and let me and others know how you enjoyed the show. And if you want to stay connected, you can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at Prospering with Christ. But that's all I have for you today, and I will see you next week.